invest more on these on big data. We see we have the opportunity to share the examples and the work done by central banks. Also at European level, we saw that we realized quite clearly that the level of the work done by central banks is really a lot in comparison to what done by national statistical institutes. Also, because I think that it needs big data needs a big investment. There is also the need to have more resources dedicated to these tasks, and also the data still available are a little bit, at least from my experience, is still too much linked to real to macroeconomic variables, say to gross macroeconomic variables like GDP, whereas for our work we need more granular data, and also it's difficult to establish a direct link with variables of interest for official statistics. So I think that's enough. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Filippo. That was a very useful intervention. I just want to make the last call for our colleagues in the Central Bank of Israel. If you're around, just raise your hand or let me know or open your mic.
What a nice fellow.
I'm sorry?
There?
I heard someone speaking.
That's what I think it was. I cannot see
Yeah.
people.
Okay. Okay, so the session is over. We have 10 minutes, a 10-minute break. So we can stay here and chat informally. I mean, we can have some interactions, or you can go get some coffee, come back, go to the restroom, something. So we'll be back at the 15:50 Central European Time, 9:50 Eastern Standard Time. Thank you very much. I think that this was a very useful session. We have a great set of presentations in the next session as well, and we can continue the discussion in the Q&A or discussion session at the end. One question that I want you to think about for the next discussion part is this issue about whether we have any we as government entities, or some of you as government entities, have set some incentive schemes with private sector companies to provide data. So this is coming back to the discussion we had yesterday at our panel session. So maybe this is a theme that we can address in the next discussion session after the next presentation. This public private partnerships, and whether you have used different incentives to try to get access to this data sets or this data collected by these institutions. So I'm going to give you 9 minutes. Feel free to stick around, chat with whomever you want, or you can take a break and get some coffee and come back. Thank you very much, specifically to the presenters, but also to the people that participated in the discussion session. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I need to get some coffee, so I'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Go ahead, Ricardo. Don't worry, no problem. I have the pocket coffee. It's easier. Nathan, one question. Was Chris Bauma or the professor you were talking about before?
You're very quiet.
Sorry. It's because, as usual, the settings of WebEx.
Yuri, you.
Now, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now it's better.
Yeah. But it's still the maximum volume, but you have to adjust it every time. I don't know why. No, I was asking Nathan. Is Chris Bound the professor you were talking about? I guess the guy who could only use Theta, or just kidding.
No, now I'm immediately blanking. That's funny. Yeah. I mean, everyone, this was in 2009. Everyone's using Stata. I was interested in using R, but if I asked anyone, they said you can use it, but of course you're on your own. If you have any questions on any econometric method, and that's an easy way to okay, nope.
Exactly. Yes. I think with especially with that, there is a little bit of steep curve at the beginning. Yeah, that's true. And guys, you're free to talk. It's like a virtual coffee break. So you're free to go to the restroom, to the bathroom if you're at home. And of course, if you wanna chat, it's not like being in the same room with a coffee and the piece of pastry in your hand, but
It's, especially if we were in Rome, we would have the best coffee or best espresso possible.
I know, Christina, but unfortunately, we can't.
I can dream about it. But I think speaking, actually, I mean, it's interesting that Nathan and you're talking about Stata versus R. It, in some ways, I think as economists, we can think about it as sort of like a trade-off between having a sort of commercial product that's well developed, at least back in the time when we were in graduate school, but then you have to pay, versus having like an open source product that you don't have to pay, but then you have to put in your own personal work and ingenuity and vigilance or whatever else. So it's more like you have to be somewhat entrepreneurial to kind of strike out along a different path. But then once whichever path you chose, once you go down that, you're kind of locked in for a while. And so it's taken me so here at Boston Fed, I actually, just on my own initiative, I wanted to do a machine learning project, and then I pretty soon I realized that it's hopeless within Stata, and so we had to. This is like circumstances. It's enough a shock that I had to abandon Stata, but then I first went to R. And then it turned out even R is not as fast as Python in some of the machine learning algorithm. And so I had to make two transitions. And then eventually end up, I'm still I still view myself as a newcomer to Python. And then it turned out to be useful in the sense that in the pandemic, because the Boston Fed started administering one of the lending programs, and then we acquired this sort of massive micro data set, which actually had to be handled with essentially PySpark, or just within Spark, but it uses a lot of the Python infrastructure, and so it turned out to be exposed a fairly opportunistic investment, but it's a little bit sort of haphazard. I totally agree with you, Nathan. I think we need to think as economists. I think we are probably in the best position to think about how to provide incentives for people to kind of develop in a more systematic way. And also the other thing, I was thinking that like most of sort of IT development, scale is a huge advantage. And so for smaller places, we're sort of like at a disadvantage, just by the nature of things. And so I'm wondering whether there's some way to kind of use coordination or collaboration to try to overcome some of that.
I shared a PDF link that was from the the creator of the Journal of Statistical Software and kind of how they did it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if we got something like a Journal of Economic Software, or alternatively just chose, there's a couple journals of software, scientific software that has emerged in the last 5 years, maybe. If we just chose one and kind of, kind of converged on it, if we simply had like a journal with some editors and like a peer review process that followed some steps for how to do kind of like correct packaging of code, which the author guys have already done, like they've already thought through how to do all this. I think if we just simply had something like a journal with editors and had a peer review process for packages that are published, so you could have, like, it could be, an electronic journal, journal of statistical software, and you could have a citation line. Someone's unmuted. Not on this conversation.
I cannot understand who is
cited.
Please mute your mic.
We're all hunting now.
I cannot see.
Email him. I can email him.
I cannot name. Are you name him? Okay, good.
Right, but I hear you. Yeah,
editors and peer review. Yeah, that would do it.
Right.
Sorry.
I mean, in some ways, that's part of I think a help for Stata success, right? It has a Stata journal, and people publish. You code up an estimator, and you get to publish there, and then people start using, say, your ADO file and so forth. I think we need something that sort of mimic that, which is, I wonder whether, I mean, this is, thanks to Yuri and Ricardo and so forth for organizing this. I wonder whether this forum would be a place that helps the coordination thing, that, the community there, it looks like there is enough of a crowd. Maybe we can try to develop something like that.
Absolut. Och jag tror precis. Daniel Maria behöver ju inte vara med i CDH-projektet, så att säga. Men däremot så behöver man vara djupt involverad i RUF-projektet. Så är det. Så att det blir liksom lite olika personer där. Men
Marcus, please mute yourself. Shannon Marcus, please mute yourself. We can hear you.
Okay, let me. I cannot mute him.
Yuri, I think Andrea is the host. Can he mute Marcus?
I asked him to do it. He probably didn't. It might be that he has easy on a device like iPad or something, but it's 3:50, so we have to start, guys. This is the second question. Anyway, Christina, the idea is just that one. So the idea also the closed session. It's a way to exchange emails and to know who are the guys who work.
We don't hear you so well, Yuri.
Again.
Volume.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, better, much better.
I didn't do anything. It's still the same setting that you have to change. I'm sorry. No, I was saying to Christina, that's the idea. The idea is to build a community, maybe to have to collaborate. Why not organize a seminar on a specific topic or on a specific paper? And it's a starting point. And now I have to pass the word to Giuseppe because we have to start the next session. Go ahead, Giuseppe.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the second round table that we are going to have on this closed session. So, as the previous one, we are going to give 5 minutes to all the institutions that we have taken, and I will provide a signal. I will say something when there is just 1 minute to go. So I would start with the European Commission, and please just the person who is going to talk, just unmute himself. He can start.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, Luca, we can.
Perfect. Hi, I'm Luca Norante from the European Commission, from the Joint Research Center. First of all, let me thank you and the organizers for this great conference. And let me say just one word on data. Data are a complicated issue. Whenever we have a new database, it's a lot of work for the lawyers. There exists one EU Commission data strategy that includes investment on data and computing power, but also common data spaces. So there is hope that some kind of standard, at least in our continent, may emerge with time. I move to what we do at the GRC with big data. It's kind of difficult because it's a huge research department and the Commission is kind of very broad in its interest. But we have a lot of routine activities that maybe it's interesting to mention. For example, we make a vast use of the Commission of satellite images for agriculture, for controlling crops, and for natural disasters. We have whole units that actually analyze mass media and do natural language processing for analyzing the perception of policies and their effect, or for analyzing fake news more recently. We have a Center of Advanced Studies, which has been focusing on text indicators and low-level data recently for macroeconomic and macroprudential policies. This center is actually joining our unit very, very soon, so we are looking forward to work with them. They say for this conference, maybe the closest thing is the economic nowcasting. This is something that has been developed more recently, since I came last year. There are two issues in this COVID nowcasting. One is the lockdown, the effect of lockdown measures, and the other one is the behavior. People do react with or without lockdown in ways that have a strong impact on the outcomes. And here is where big data come about to detect the behavior and to describe the behavior in recent times. So just to give you a broad overview, we are using different data sources, data from space, mobility data, news-based indicators, we have quite a few of them, data from mobile operators, Google searches, highway tolls, aviation freight at micro and macro level, shipping of people and goods, data on electricity, social media, low-level data, and so on. So there is a wide range of streams of research and use of data. From the point of view of models, we are also quite eclectic. We have a lot of computing power and very technical people. So we go from traditional econometrics to econometrics with fat data, lots of data, or big data proper, so this kind of alternative data. We have, as I said, units that do natural language processing. We do network analysis, in which we consider the economic system, the sectors or the firms as a system more than as an aggregate. And we have a plethora of machine learning algorithms that have been helping, in particular during the COVID, to assess what the nonlinearities in the economic system are. The way we put together all these different streams is a kind of a practical way. So we have a nowcasting product that is based on model averaging techniques. So we don't take a stance on which kind of model, which kind of data we have. We use them all as weak learners in a way, if you want. And then we have a model averaging technique, dynamic model averaging, that have an emphasis on what performs best and on distributions. And the product that we advertise, let's say, most is this weekly GDP nowcasting for the Euro area and the Big Four countries. And there is also related work on nowcasting and forecasting unemployment, for example, by some other colleagues. So these are the things that are mostly relevant for you.
Another minute.
I think I will not need the other minute. Let me just say that we are, as I said, we are trying many different directions, both from a data point of view and from the technique point of view, and we are very happy to participate and to collaborate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luca. And I think we can move on to the second presentation from the Bank of Spain.
I think that you have the presentation.
Yes.
Share the presentation. Okay. Well, first of all, thanks. I want to join to the thanks to the organizer and to congratulate for this meeting. It's particularly welcome and very useful in order to share the experience and to to advance in the use of these new techniques and this big data. Just may set an overview of what we are doing in Bank of Spain. This is not a complete review. That is why I'm not going to enter in things related with nowcasting or use of some granular data in more traditional uses, but just to give you an overview of new things that we are doing right now. The first slide referred to test mining and natural language process projects. You can see that the first block is related with more traditional, and is the use of these techniques in order to understand policy uncertainty or market uncertainty with economic policy uncertainty in this improving this with the Spanish newspaper. The second set is related more with the conduct authority supervision, and this is in order to obtain information for mortgage loans or for consumer credit in order to look for abuse clauses or for the things that could create some problem with consumer protection. And the third set, and this is the more ample and the more broad and rich set of projects, is related with sentiment analysis on the publication or the statements from central banks. Here I want to highlight one project, and this is related with financial stability report. We are not only looking at the sentiment analysis from our financial stability report and the sentiment from the newspaper, but also trying to create, like we want to call a pan-Hispanic dictionary in order to explore or have a common ground of a dictionary that could be useful for all the Hispanic spoken countries. In this sense, we are collaborating with other central banks like Chile in order to grow this dictionary, and now we are trying to expand to other countries like Uruguay, and our aim is to broad to several countries in Latin America with the help of Ricardo, that is also to contribute to this project in the future. I would like to pass to the second slide. The second slide is more related. Yuri, okay. With the data quality and anomaly detection projects, and here the idea is just to try to detect or to complete some missing values in that of the surveys that we receive. The first block is related with the central balance sheet data offices. Here we receive questionnaires for several corporations, and in order to detect quality problems or to input some missing values and have a more complete view, we use machine learning techniques for this one. And the second one is related with the supervision report from the Court of Interest reports. In order again to detect anomalies, quality problems, or inconsistencies, we use techniques related with machine learning. And just the last slide, and I try to cover the time allocated. Can you pass? It's like a miscellanea that is first set is related with banknotes. We have a tradition to use techniques of big data and using supervised machine learning in order to improve, for example, the calibration of the machines for detect the quality of the banknotes, and also to extract information on the banknote. This is joined with the Eurosystem in order to be able to use it to some analysis, for example, to the velocity of the circulation of the money or for the cross-border use of the money. And last but not least is related with the regulatory policy discussion. Here we have two main projects. One has been presented in this conference, and is related to extract information, non-structured information related with things like climate-related disclosures, in order to understand the comparison and the quality of this reporting. That is something that is becoming more important for the supervisory side, but we don't have an unstructured way of presenting information. Then we use some techniques in order to extract this information and trying to be able to compare among the disclosure for several firms. And the other project is related to trying to help to understand the supervision side of the bank, in order to know not only the improvement on forecasting for machine learning models in the provision of credit, but also trying to understand several techniques in order to mitigate the risk associated with the use of this kind of algorithms, for example, related with interpretability or related with the latency of some of these models. And that's all. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jose.
Great. Super fast.
Right. And I think we can move on to the Bank of International Settlement presentation. I don't know who is going.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rafael.
Giuseppe, Rafael here. Exactly. I will quickly share my slides. So. All right. So let me just change the settings. All right. So yeah, maybe before I start, just a few words to set this in context. So as probably many of you know, the BIS is very much involved into statistical data collections around the world. So we act as a data hub here. To give you some numbers, so there are more than 80 central banks and international institutions who actually provide us with data. We have more than 250 data flows or data sets, 30 million time series, more than 1 billion observations, and 200 data submissions every day. And despite these regular data submissions, we have a few large granular data sets, especially debt securities. Now, that means that, let's say, the big data topic, I would say, is pretty new for us. It's probably also not yet the main focus. Yeah, although we are investing heavily, it's still, the focus is still a lot on the traditional data collection and processing. However, there are a few major projects which we embarked on, and we are building up a big data infrastructure. And I would like to mention three. One is we are building a real-time analysis of fast-paced electronic markets. So we're actually analyzing real-time FX feeds from a variety of FX markets, and we analyze them, process them, and create dashboards. And the idea is that we also roll this out then to interested central banks. So that's a project of our newly created innovation hub. Then, as many of you mentioned, we also have a variety of NLP projects. One is that we analyze our impact, the BIS impact in central bank speeches and research publications, and we use machine learning techniques for this. However, what we just to mention, what we found actually the biggest challenge is not so much the storage and the machine learning part. It's really more about parsing PDF files, websites, preparing the data. That's actually the typical challenge here. And then we also use big data capabilities to store semi-structured data. And there's something where we find actually quite a lot of added value. So it's not really big data, but we use big data techniques and also storage options to query survey data. And we also apply techniques around knowledge graphs and these things. And knowledge graphs, as maybe some of you might know, they can become very big very quickly. And this is where we find big data infrastructure useful. When it comes to COVID-19, there was a lot of interest, especially in those initiatives which we started after the great financial crisis. So related to international banking statistics, GSIPS data, derivative data, debt securities. A lot of interest from central banks, from regulators to obtain these data. We have also adopted a couple of new data, but more traditional. I think what is different is that we need to provide the analysis at a much higher frequency than we did in the past. And also when it comes to the Irving Fisher Committee work, a lot of interest from central banks in all these alternative data sources, big data, fintech data, etc. Now, as part of our mandate, we have cooperation between the central banks and the international organizations. And just to mention a couple of things which we see central banks are interested in. So first of all, there's a lot of interest in exchanging on big data and all these tools and setting up data lakes, training programs, etc. There's also interest in collecting, showcasing successful projects. So we have already launched a couple of surveys. We are doing publications, but we will do more in this context. There will be also a conference next year, which Giuseppe and I will just announce in a second. There's interest in open source code. In data governance, especially we are heavily investing in data standards, SDMX, together with other international organizations. And there's also interest in centralized locations for collecting big data and cloud computing to be not so much dependent on the big tech companies. Main challenges was already mentioned quite a bit. Let me just maybe highlight.
If you can try to wrap up, because
exactly.
Thank you very much.
Just to say, on the human resource side, the challenge we see is actually that's quite costly, and it's difficult to attract talent. Technology, same thing. We need to learn new languages. Python was mentioned already a couple of times, and then the privacy. So let me just finish with announcing another workshop which we plan in October 21, together with the Bank of Italy, ECB, and the ZARP. And you can see a couple of areas which we will touch there. And on the IFC side, you also find more information. We will soon update the date because we were planning it for March, but because of COVID, we have to postpone it to October. Thank you very much. Over to you, Giuseppe.
Thank you very much, Rafael. I think we can keep moving, going to the Narodowy Bank Polski.
Hello, I'm Paweł Macias from National Bank of Poland, and I would like to say something about projects connected with non-traditional data in NBP. So first one is our online price project using web-scale data to track inflation in Poland. We collect data since 2009, so we have quite long time series. And now we collect data from 40 online stores. It's about 1 million products per day. And we use this data for forecasting inflation. We find that online prices are quite good approximation of CPI and are very useful in case of forecasting very volatile products like fruits, vegetables, so groups of products which are very difficult to forecast. During the COVID-19 outbreak, we start using this data on a weekly basis to track inflation, and we presented how prices react during a COVID outbreak during the panic buying. We didn't find any huge price increase or decrease or any change in price thickness. However, we find that product availability decreased very much. It was about 25% decrease in product availability in case of food products, even more in case of some groups of products like pasta, rice, or other products which were very often bought during this period. But after a few weeks, about 1 month, in case of Poland, in the end of May, situation was coming back to normal. Nowadays, during the second wave, we don't find so strong reaction, and there is no big influence on product availability. Our second project is Economic Activity Index, which is based on some traditional data like in industrial production or construction, but also have some non-traditional high-frequency data like electricity consumption, credit card payments, air pollution, some results from Google search or road traffic volume. And we have also some project connected to credit cards. However, this project just starting, it's on conceptual stage. We also trying to use some machine learning techniques in our normal analysis. A colleague of mine used neural networks for forecasting inflation. We also use some text mining techniques to select products or to use in our other analysis. I think that I would like also to mention that about 3 months ago, we created a team which will be developing big data in our bank. Nowadays, everything is very...
Powell, forgive me. You have just 1 minute.
Oh, okay. So I think I can finish on it, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Pavel, for your clear presentation about your development. I would give the floor now to the Netherlands Bank.
I think Iman is gonna talk, and Andre, you should pass the ball to Iman van Lelyveld, please, because I'm not the host now.
Oh.
Iman, I think you can get the ball.
Yeah, because he needs to make presentation. Otherwise,
Yeah.
well, I think Rafael could move the ball.
I'm unmuted now, right? So can I just start then?
Yes.
Is the sound okay?
The sound is perfect. Our technician has the host and is not replying. Sorry.
Super. Well, thank you very much for the possibility to speak at this great conference. Organizers did a great job. It's paying off. So well done. Now, after such an extensive set of excellent presentations, I was wondering what to add. I think I would run the risk of sounding a little bit like us too, but for completeness, I will nevertheless take 1 minute to do exactly just that. We have various projects where we are experimenting with non-traditional data, non-traditional approaches in macro models. So think of Google Trends for a forecasting model. Think of scraping to find illegal Bitcoin market makers. Think of neural nets to understand emergency liquidity assistance, etc., etc. More on topic for this conference, we've also experimented with all kinds of NLP proof of concepts, and I understand my colleague Jasper de Winter discussed his work on sentiment in previous incarnation of this very conference. We have a Twitter proof of concept. We have looked at Bloomberg messages. We've done quite a lot of different proof of concept with various prudential documents that come into the bank. Now, this list will grow, it will change, and will be very similar to the list that you have or would like to have. But what I would like to do, and it was already mentioned during the break, for instance, is to propose an entirely different topic. Concretely, what can we do to properly work together? Our experience, at least my experience over the last few years, is that starting a project is super easy. Getting it to be actually used, or as it is in our RT department's jargon, in production is super difficult. Now, why is this? I see several issues. First, limited IT infrastructure. So the most interesting information is confidential, and yet we need scalable platform with open source coding. So on-prem data is on-prem, but cloud computing is the way forward. To get this going, you need extremely scalable setup. So currently we have that, but we're moving to Azure, and we'll be able to touch all the bells and whistles that are there. Second, fragmentation. So these topics are of interest to many parts of a central bank, yet they're mostly tackled at a very granular local level, and given sometimes significant hurdles to overcome before you even get started, many of these projects suffer a slow and grueling death. Third, responsible coding. Generally, we do not use a single language. There's very limited versioning, and Git is hardly ever used, and there's no common style guide. I could go on, but 3 is always a good number for a list, so I'll stop there. So what have we done to tackle these issues? Well, IT platform is coming together with scalability, a data lake, up to confidential data. We have Git there, we'll have CRAN, PyPy, Anaconda, etc. And in the next year, we should make a big step there. Bliss is just over the horizon. And I see I have just 1 minute, so I'll speed up. Second, as for the fragmentation, we've formalized the Data Science Hub, which I have the honor to lead, with now 9 FTE. Key responsibility to foster is to foster the data science community, and we do this by organizing open source lunches, we have training seminars, and we activate users to work together. For the latter, for instance, we have an NLP group, which just now started and is getting up to steam. We have a manifest, to which I'll share a link in a minute, that outlines what we think are sensible rules to work together. And finally, and I think if I got the names right, Nathan Palmer and Christine Wang also raised this issue, we need to up our game. So it's not just academics that need to write programs, we do need to do that as well. And we need the infrastructure to place and disseminate our programs. So not just a shiny PowerPoint with our wonderfully successful projects, but real tangible production code. And DB has a GitHub code. I'll take 3 more seconds. And we aim to push out our code for people to use.
Just another minute.
Yes, well, 20 seconds will be sufficient. We have this GitHub, and we aim to push out code for supervised institutions, but also others to see what we do exactly and to build upon. And we hope that this is paying it forward, and others will sort of improve our code and share it with us. Only when we internalize such software development tools can we truly work together and work together efficiently. Now, with that, I would like to close, and I'll share some links on that. I'm happy to discuss all of this offline or later during this call. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Iman. So at this point, I would go immediately to the Bundesbank representative that I see ready.
Yes. Natasha. Yes, Iman, I have to ask you the favor to pass the ball to Natasha because I can't, unfortunately.
Can you see my slides now?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Okay, great. First of all, thanks to the organizers for having us. I'm going to shortly present 2 macroeconomic research projects using machine learning techniques that shortly or recently were published as a discussion paper of the Bundesbank. So my name is Natascha Hinterlang. I work in the DG Economics Department, Public Finance Division. And the first paper I'm going to present is called Predicting Monetary Policy using Artificial Neural Network. And the research question of this project was, can artificial neural network help predicting the federal funds rate as the key interest rate of the US? And the approach of the paper is that I do a forecast comparison exercise using the Federal Reserve's Greenbook real-time data to ensure a realistic forecasting scenario, and included models in the comparison set are standard reaction functions like linear and nonlinear Taylor rules. So the nonlinear ones are smooth transition autoregressive models. And I also include univariate processes as well as the ANN. As we all know, it is able to approximate any nonlinear function. And the results can be seen here. I plot the relative root mean squared forecast error. So the ANN, the best performing one, is set as the basis of 1, so values larger than 1 mean that these models perform worse than the ANN. And we can see for all forecasting horizons, I compute up to 4 quarters ahead. The ANN outperforms all the other models, and what is interesting is it is actually increasing with the forecasting horizon in general. So we concluded that the ANN might be especially useful for longer term forecasts. The second project is called Classification of Monetary and Fiscal Dominance Regimes using Machine Learning Techniques, which is joint work with my colleague Josef Kollmeier. And here the research question was, how can we actually identify monetary and fiscal dominance regimes in reality? Because it's a rather theoretical concept and we cannot observe the true underlying regime. And therefore we took the following approach. We first of all simulated time series under both regimes using a Markov switching DSGE model in order to use this simulated data in the second step to train machine learning classifiers. So we included support vector machines, random forest, decision trees, KNN, and boosting trees. And we first tested the trained classifiers also with simulated data, also with respect to robustness due to changes in the underlying data generating process. And in the end, we used the best performing classifier to identify the historical regimes in the US over the last 50 years. And concerning the results, I can say that the boosting classifier outperforms all other classifiers. It yields a test accuracy of 95%, so very good, while the logistic model roughly was above 50% only. And we can see here the classified US regimes by other boost, and we find clear evidence of fiscal dominance in dark gray, before Volcker. We have monetary predominance after Volcker and under Clinton. And the evidence for the more recent periods is mixed, with a tendency towards fiscal dominance. So with all these projects, we see how machine learning can be used either for forecasting or as an index, for example, for central bank independence. We are also planning to do the same analysis for the Eurozone. So maybe we can get a real-time index for central bank independence or the fear of fiscal dominance. So that's everything from my side. Thank you.
Okay, Natasha, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You are perfectly on time. And now we can switch to Swiss National Bank.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Matthias.
Perfect.
I can hear you very well.
Thank you very much. I am Matthias Gubler from the Swiss National Bank. And first of all, I'd like to congratulate the organizers for putting up such an interesting program, and thank you for having me on this panel. I have to admit that the Swiss National Bank is just at the beginning of this very exciting journey related to all these topics and issues covered by this conference. Having said that, I think nevertheless that we reached an important milestone since we just finalized a report on a proof of concept with a cluster infrastructure that in the future shall serve Swiss National Bank-wide data science purposes. In this proof of concept, we implemented several case studies. These case studies were carried out by different teams working in different areas in the bank, including economics, financial stability, statistics, or also the FX and money market. These case studies have been carried out to use, for example, web scratching methodology to analyze market comments on FX developments. A similar approach has been experimented with in the context of financial stability analysis. Here, sentiment analysis of financial stability reports or speeches on these topics have been carried out. In another use case, they applied deep learning and neural networks to FX data to enhance our understanding of FX transactions in the market. We also looked at data that many of you also looked at, credit card or debit card payments, in order to analyze the payment activity in various industries and across different geographical units in near real time. This was actually the use case with the, let's say, biggest data set that we had. Another one, and I was involved in this one, was set up with regard to forecasting, because I'm in the forecasting unit, and we set up models that generate a forecast for CPI inflation using machine learning algorithms, either on an aggregate or on a disaggregate level. The model that forecasts actually CPI inflation on the aggregate level is based on a data set containing roughly 500 macro and financial variables. The model that forecasts CPI inflation on a disaggregate level uses separate data sets for each CPI items, including sector-specific and other price, financial, and macroeconomic data. It's actually in the spirit of the model that was presented by Andreas Josephs from the Bank of England. We are not yet there where they are, but hopefully we can catch up in the near future. Yeah, this is what we've tested there, and we concluded, maybe not surprisingly, that we know it's costly to set up such an infrastructure, but that the benefits exceed these costs. Now, a second initiative that we started tackles another very important issue when it comes to big data or data science projects, and we have talked extensively about it, or panelists talked extensively about it during the panel last evening, namely the governance framework. And I think this is an important part of setting up these projects. We carefully think about a unified governance framework for the Swiss National Bank, because I think it's a precondition actually for then having or engaging in reliable and beneficial relationships and partnerships with other institutions and also with the private industry.
Okay.
That is it from my side. Thank you a lot.
Thank you very much, Matthias. Thank you. So it's time for the Central Bank of Uruguay. Who is going to talk for Central Bank of Uruguay?
Jorge Pons.
Okay, he has the ball.
Jorge, we cannot hear you. Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, go ahead, Jorge.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Perfectly well.
I think I have some problems with my connection.
But Jorge, we can hear you perfectly. Maybe you can't hear us.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Now yes. Thank you very much. I am Jorge Ponce from the Central Bank of Uruguay. I am the head of research. Let me start by congratulating Banca d'Italia and the Federal Reserve Board for this very impressive conference. To thank the organizer for inviting us, in particular Shuri and Ricardo, of course. I will give you an overview of some projects we are involved in, or to be more precise in some ideas of project in some sense, because we are in this field. This conference is very useful for us. For the moment, we are building capacities through learning and then teaching to colleagues at the bank some basic and Python, and improving a specific human capital. For example, 2 colleagues now are finishing a master's degree on data science from MIT. Then starting some relatively small projects, some of them in collaboration with colleagues from other central banks and also universities. I will just summarize 8. One is web scraping of real estate prices to measure techniques and relative the biggest online marketplace in Latin America, with the objective of studying and characterizing the fundamentals of inherent dollarization. And you know, Uruguay is a dollarized economy, so this is important to look at the phase of dollarization, and in particular, whether second-hand goods the prices are set in US dollar. Dollarization is a problem in Uruguay is high, and we would like to de-dollarize the economy. So to have metrics for dollarization is a good idea. And we are just starting to collect weekly data from Twitter in order to construct some measure of some kind of cultural dollarization. It is this sentimental index looking at the relative weight of the US dollar mentioned with respect to Uruguayan pesos, the local currency mentioned in the tweets by analysts and other people in Uruguay. We have collected firms survey data, which together with data from our credit register allows us to build some kind of firm-to-firm network of credit and firm-to-bank credit network. first at a sectoral level, and then using new techniques and collaboration with the University College London at the firm level. And this information was very useful during the first part of the epidemic of COVID-19 in order to look at the problems and the potential problems on the chain of payment. We are making some progress analyzing the gains of forecasting macroeconomic variables, for example, inflation, using machine learning techniques.
Jorge,
we are doing some research.
Okay.
Yes?
You have 1 minute.
Thank you, thank you. We are doing some progress on researching credit rating agencies' decisions, like text mining of the reports, in order to anticipate future changes in the ratings. And Jose Manuel from Bank of Spain also already mentioned this initiative to construct this Pan-American Spanish dictionary. And also we are collaborating with Ricardo in order to assess whether to translate the reports to English, from Spanish to English, make some differences in the sentiment of the report, in the tone of the report, and this could be important for communication of financial stability and also monetary policy. So this is the quick overview. Thank you very much for this great conference. We're really happy to continue collaborating on these things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jorge. Thank you very much. So now we will move on to the ECB that is arranged in two very short presentations. First one is from Per Nima. Please, Per.
Thank you very much, Yuri. Sorry, Giuseppe. I wanted to thank Yuri and Giuseppe for this opportunity for us to present. I'm here together with Thomas Gottron from the ECB, and I want to thank also all the other central banks to share their experience. So we have learned a lot from the respective work that you've been doing. And here at the ECB, so the topic relates to the general projects on on non-traditional sources, alternative data. So I just wanted to make you aware of that at the ECB, we have currently around 30 projects ongoing relating to alternative data sources. And here I'm just having a slide of the digital transformation and all the new opportunities that exist to obtain additional sources from the financial space where we all work in. And of course, I will not go through all of them, but for instance, the e-trading, so for instance, the digital trading platform, MTS Markets, we collect daily price data from them, and indeed we then produce Euro area yield curves that we release every single day on the ECB website using this data source. So other examples, so I'm just extracting examples from these 30 projects, and I will give the floor then to Thomas to talk about the machine learning activities that we're also doing. So apart from the digital trading platforms, we also have media stream text, where we're looking also at textual analysis, and we also look at our own press conference text in order to gag sentiments. We also have the Prisma dataset, so daily price datasets in particular, which is very granular data on each single product that is there from certain supermarkets, and we are then looking at inflation's rates and also volatility inflation rates. We have also done some tweet streams. Maybe this is a little bit outdated, but we looked at a little bit about Trump's tweets and the reaction in the financial market. We have the Google data, right? So this is important for everyone in the Euro area, and is that we have this Google data that is available to all central banks in the Euro area. We have agreed this with Helverin, the chief economist. So we have got data from 14 search engines from the Euro area countries, and this data is available and updated every Wednesday to all central banks in the Euro area, and also to all all national competent authorities. So we have an agreement with Helverians that everyone in the euro area can use this data. They're available free of charge on the Darwin. So please explore the data if you wish. Then we are also using the Orbis data set relating to about ownership patterns. In particular in the private equity funds. So we're trying to have a look at this. And then I will quickly pass on the ball to Thomas to make his presentation. And thank you, Yuri and Giuseppe, for this opportunity.
Dankeschön to you.
Thanks. Thanks, Per, for the introduction. Then I will start to share my screen as soon as you stop to share yours.
It's coming. You should have it now.
Okay. So, I mean, now we have basically seen a good introduction already of the things that we're doing when it comes to non-traditional data. I just wanted to complement also a bit on the side of when it comes to on the new tech, the more on the needs. We have already seen from the introduction that we really have lots of use cases from various business areas in economics, supervision, in statistics, the colleagues in IT, and I cannot enumerate them all. What is quite interesting that gives you just an idea of the broad range of cases that we have is that we have an internal community of more than 500 people that are actually involved or interested in the topics or even are working on particular projects. This is also extended now to colleagues that we have externally at other central banks or supervisory institutions. And this is also, let's say, the funders that I've used now for these couple of examples to give you a high-level idea and overview of the things that we are doing. So to start with examples, one has already been mentioned by Pierre before, is about the inflation monitoring. This, what he mentioned is the Prisma data set. So these are really colleagues that are going out to the web, to supermarkets, and they're scraping product information and prices from public websites and involve machine learning to do, for example, a classification of products that you have in a supermarket into categories so that you in the end are able to actually reflect the basket for calculating an inflation rate. Another example that is also based on very classical machine learning techniques is the assignment of institutional sectors for legal entities. And that is something that is a core part in many statistical data sets that you want to know if something actually is a financial entity or a private entity or governmental entity. Some more use cases are going in the direction of NLP, natural language processing, and text mining. Also here, just to give you two examples, there are colleagues that have been looking into information extraction from structured or semi-structured documents. So for example, to extract structured information from tables that you have in large PDF documents, such as reports that you get from corporates or banks. Also, sentiment classification, as we have heard throughout the whole conference, is really a hot topic. And here you have really different approaches using different techniques based on very modern approaches like BERT and deep neural networks. And the application is then really to do tracking of what is reported in the media, what is the own reporting, or also to analyze documents and reports to get a gist of what is the sentiment that are reported. And last but not least, three examples that are maybe a bit more far away from the classic macroeconomic side. We also have use cases and colleagues and partners also in other institutions that are working on using machine learning in the fields of banknote authentication. So to use machine learning techniques and trying to see if you can use visual or machine readable security features to check if a banknote actually is a valid one. And another thing that we were doing was taking a look at in the direction of data quality assurance in statistical data sets for supervision techniques. And here we wanted to use validation rule mining. So basically you take a look at all the data that you're collecting and you're trying to find some latent hidden patterns of how certain fields are related to each other. And this can help you to define new rules and then to quality assure and check if newly received data actually adheres to the patterns that you have detected before. So this just as a very high level overview of some of the use cases when it comes to new techniques. And that is the part where I would conclude. We also have still Lorena Saiz on the call. Maybe she also wants to give still a few insights from the side of the economics. Lorena, over to you.